a serving Tory MP, will join me shortly on the return of Nigel Farage potentially to the Conservatives and even potentially sticking him in the House of Lords. A serving Tory MP on record saying that. What does that mean for that party? But as the controversy over the naming of the so-called royal racists in the Dutch translation of Omid Scobie's book Endgame rumbles on, Harry and Meghan's silence has been deafening. But, this is the Today line. Everyone's been banging on about that for the last week or so, and I'm sick of it. But Tory MP Bob Seeley has taken matters into his own hands by seeking a law change to strip Harry and Meghan of their royal titles. An enraged Seeley said they should not keep the titles and privileges if they trash an institution that plays an important part in our nation's life. Sources close to the Sussexes have stressed that Harry and Meghan are not behind claims made in Scobie's book, but I suspect that few people believe such denials. Essentially, this is invoking quite an old law that could biff them of their titles. I'm joined now by my royal masterminds, Lady Colin Campbell and Phil Dampier. Thank you very much. Lady C, this is an interesting development in this story. Should MPs now step in and take the Duke and Duchess down a peg, quite literally?
Well, I think someone has to. I was actually approached nearly 2 years ago by one of the former private secretaries and asked to start a petition to get Parliament to strip them of their titles. And I said I wasn't going to do it because I thought it was a dangerous precedent to set. And there is a dangerous precedent involved with this. But the fact of the matter is, the amendment is tabled under what is really a traitor's amendment. And there is a feeling that Harry and Meghan have betrayed the interests of the monarchy and the country and the Commonwealth. And I think, if the family doesn't do something, there's no good reason why Parliament doesn't do something. And so I actually basically am in favour of it. I think this, amid Scobie's nonsense, has been the final straw, because there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, and I don't think there's any doubt in anybody with a brain, that Meghan is behind it. I also understand, in fact, that she wrong-footed Harry, that Harry didn't realise that any of this was coming, and that there's all hell to be paid at the moment in Montecito. But that's another matter altogether.
Well, I will be returning to that, Lady C, as you can imagine. No doubt Meghan Markle, well, in fact, there is no doubt, because she does deny having anything to do with this, as did Harry. But I'll bring you in now, Phil. Do you think that MPs should step in and try to strip them of their titles, or is this just a bit pathetic?
Yeah, good evening, Patrick. Traitors, send them to the Tower. That's what we should do. Listen, I think a lot of people will sympathise with Bob Seeley. A lot of people think they should be stripped of their titles, they should be removed from the website and all sorts of other things. Unfortunately, I don't think he's got enough parliamentary time to get this through. And I don't know whether he's consulted with the palace or not, but I assume that even if he did get this through Parliament in some sort of private member's bill using this obscure law, it would have to be signed off by the King. And I don't think the King would want to do this.
Well, it wouldn't go against precedent, Phil. You can't. The King can't just pick and choose on what he gives royal assent to, surely.
Well, ultimately, I think he probably can, actually. I mean, everything has to be signed off by the King. I don't think this is going to get through. I think it's grandstanding by Bob Seeley, although a lot of people will agree with him. OK, right, now, look, there's a couple of other royal things I want to get stuck into. So we're going to the activist and granddaughter of Nelson Mandela, who's waded into the row with this message.
I believe Harry and Meghan had to find their own voice, in a similar way that Granddad had to find his own voice when he had to run away from an arranged marriage. So they should be given, like any other person, room to voice out whatever their misgivings are.
Lady C, is Indileka Mandela right? Do the couple need space to find their voice, just like Nelson Mandela?
Well, I'm afraid that President Mandela's granddaughter has totally missed the point. He was advocating for a cause with justice and against apartheid. Harry and Meghan are advocating for a cause of greed, injustice against the royal family, against the British nation. There is absolutely no doubt that they have fabricated an awful lot of this nonsense for their own financial and reputational gain, and it is mischief making of the highest order. And I do wish that people like Nelson Mandela's granddaughter would bear in mind that just because Meghan wants to play the race card doesn't mean that people of a similar background should be supporting her. The problem with that attitude is that's why Mugabe and Zuma were able to enjoy abusing their people for the length of time that they did. I mean, her hypothesis is totally untenable.
All right, now, look, I just want to just very quickly, Phil, get your view on this, because the King and Queen, Prince and Princess of Wales, they're on the invitation list to a wedding of Prince Harry's best pal, Hugh Grosvenor. I believe he's also the godfather, I should say, yes, of Archie. But Harry and Meghan aren't invited. What's going on here? Is this a snub to Harry and Meghan? What's all this about, Phil?
Yeah, it's a great story, actually. Broke over the weekend in a couple of the papers. The Duke of Westminster is one of Britain's richest men. He's decided not to invite, according to the reports, Harry and Meghan to his wedding next June. They're saying online tonight that it might be because it brings back memories of his sister when she got married in 2004. And it was very embarrassing for all concerned because Charles wasn't really allowed to take Camilla because the Queen and Prince Philip were going. And so he doesn't want to repeat of that. And it's very embarrassing for him because he's one of the few people who's stayed in contact with Harry and Meghan and with William and Kate. But he's obviously decided that it's going to turn his wedding into a circus. So they are out.